Yeah, practice inquiry dissertation is an investigation and inquiry into your own practice as a practitioner, and gives you the opportunity to really look in depth at your practice, how you undertake it, and to develop a practice theory that will then enable you to investigate what's known about this topic or be able to contribute to research agendas to inform what else needs to be known about something. Yeah, practice inquiry has a space between an evidence-based practice dissertation, where there's a known body of research that you can critically appraise in order to inform your practice, and an empirical study where we know what we need to investigate, where there's a concept or an idea about practice that needs further investigation. Sometimes in clinical practice it isn't exactly clear what needs to be investigated, and yet as a practitioner we know that there's something there of importance. So practice inquiry fills this space between known evidence and the development of evidence in an empirical way. The kinds of things that students undertake in a practice inquiry. For example, a recent student has undertaken an investigation into her practice as a clinical nurse specialist in palliative care to really understand the effectiveness of the support that's needed by patients and families in the last 48 hours of life. And that then led to a script that was like a play that she could then portray that experience to others by. Another student at the moment is looking at do not resuscitate orders and the interactions between healthcare professionals in making decisions or failing to make decisions around do not resuscitate. And her plan is that she will then present some of those findings as video clips of that practice in order to inform others about how that should be done and the importance of that. In some ways this is a very exciting option because it roots the inquiry in your own practice, but that's clearly also a challenge because you need to make sure that you keep the inquiry about yourself and your practice, and therefore that you don't wander into other aspects of yourself. You need to put a boundary around the things you're talking about in terms of your own practice. And secondly, that you need to be very careful about the time that you're going to spend looking at your practice. That means that in some time that you would normally have as days off or a study leave, you're also going to be engaged in practice as a researcher, looking at your data and considering your practice. So that needs careful management in order that you balance homework and play. The other thing is that in other kinds of research, there's a researcher looking after the ethics of the study, making sure that informed consent is given and that confidentiality and anonymity are attended to. As a practitioner researcher in practice inquiry, you need to do that for yourself. So it's really important that you understand what the impact of the study is going to be ahead of time in order that you can give full consent to engage in that practice, that research practice as the researcher and the practitioner, and to manage then the boundaries between being both practitioner and researcher.